never stop reading Bible. And for this deep dive, we're really going to dig into some timeless wisdom, stuff about navigating life, building strong relationships, even leading well. It's all drawn directly from a really ancient and I think profound source. We're looking specifically at the Proverbs today, chapters 15, 16, 17, and 18. Now, these chapters, they feel distinct, but they also offer, well, a remarkably coherent guide for living a good life. Starting with chapter 15. This chapter really seems to hammer home the immense power of our words. It's a pretty stark reminder that what we say isn't just background noise. It can actually create peace or, the opposite, conflict.
Exactly. Proverbs puts it so clearly. A gentle answer can turn away wrath, but harsh words, they just stir up anger.
Yeah, and it also points to something else I found interesting about joy, that true joy doesn't really come from having more stuff, more possessions. It comes from an inner peace, a kind of tranquility that stems from living wisely.
And it suggests those who sort of manage their anger, who cultivate love in their heart, they're the ones who are genuinely blessed. And this focus on our inner state, our words, it flows quite naturally into chapter 16, doesn't it? Which brings up this really profound concept that all our human plans, all our efforts, they ultimately depend on a higher power.
Right. We can plan everything out meticulously, down to the last detail.
But the final outcome, well, it's not entirely in our hands. It's a call for humility, really. It suggests that paths of integrity, they tend to be guided, while the efforts of those who ignore wisdom, maybe even band together, well, they ultimately falter against this larger will.
That makes sense.
And chapter 16 also speaks to leaders, reminding them that their authority isn't just for their own benefit. It's meant to be used with justice, with fairness, aligning their rule with principles bigger than themselves.
That's a really crucial point, especially about priorities and where true value lies. Following on from that, chapter 16 makes it pretty clear that getting this wisdom, this understanding, it's considered way more valuable than piling up wealth, even gold.
Yeah, much more valuable than gold.
And this wisdom isn't just like a personal asset you keep locked away. It's described almost as a dynamic source of life. Something that blesses not only you, the individual, but also the people around you, like a spring that keeps flowing.
A wellspring, exactly.
So then we get to chapter 17. And this chapter feels a bit different, more like a collection of short, very practical lessons for just everyday life. It's packed.
Very practical, yes. Little nuggets of wisdom.
For example, on wealth, it warns that grabbing riches unjustly, for quick gain, it can actually paradoxically lead to trouble down the line, misfortune.
A sort of boomerang effect.
And then it really emphasizes community relations, things like showing love to your neighbors, stepping up to help when someone's in need, and giving to the poor. These aren't just nice things to do. They're presented as actions that actually bring blessings.
It connects personal action to communal well-being.
Definitely. And finally, chapter 17 stresses righteous judgment, the absolute importance of knowing the difference between good and evil, and crucially, not letting justice get twisted by favoritism or, bribes, keeping things straight.
And if you weave these threads together, you see how chapter 17's focus on how we act as individuals managing resources, treating others, being fair. It leads almost seamlessly into chapter 18, which zooms out a bit to living wisely within the wider community.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, it warns pretty strongly against isolating yourself, acting purely out of self-interest, ignoring others. Proverbs basically calls that foolishness. And it says it's destructive, not just for the person, but for the whole community fabric.
So isolation is damaging.
Right. True flourishing, the book suggests, it's always collective. It happens together.
So how do we avoid that, the self-interest trap?
Well, Proverbs points directly to humility. Humility before other people and also before that higher power we talked about. That's presented as the path to wisdom.
Humility as the pathway.
Exactly. And chapter 18 also reinforces the need for, fair ways to resolve conflict in the community. It advises being really careful with our words when there's a dispute, thinking before speaking.
Good advice anytime, really.
Indeed. And there's a powerful line in there, too, about friendship. Valuing one single true friend much more highly than, say, a whole crowd of superficial acquaintances. And this deep dive into the wisdom of Proverbs was brought to you with insights drawn from the Center Studio.